Everyone, welcome back to another segment of the AWS 2023 End User Computing Innovation Day. My name is Jeff Marushak. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect on our DoD Air Force team, and my co-host is AM. AM, say hi.
Hey, we took your desktop and we put it in the cloud. That's what we did. And we're here to talk about all the different types of desktops you can have in the cloud and more.
And who's here to tell us about this?
My friend Andrew Kloman. It's been a long time, Andrew.
Moments.
Yeah, moments. just mere moments ago that we saw each other, but I missed you the entire time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you,
Please
yeah.
introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey everyone. I'm Andrew Kloman. I'm a principal solutions architect, kind of acting as a product manager on the Amazon Workspaces core team. Been at AWS for about 7 years, and have a little bit of history on the partner team.
That's right. Andrew and I trolled the halls of the partner network together briefly. So, Andrew, we're going to be talking, we just heard about it in the previous segment, about Workspaces core. So let's say I'm a company and I've invested heavily into VDI. Can I just not use any end user computing services from AWS? I'm just done, right? No!
Right.
Yeah. So tell us about this journey, right?
Yeah.
That customers go on.
Yeah, the big thing through and through with AWS really is like meeting the customer wherever they're at in their journey. And with Amazon Workspaces Core, we're able to really kind of provide more to that story and really meet the customer along their journey. The kind of examples of business continuity, high availability, data center extensions, applications, really kind of the data gravity story, really speaks to a lot of the hybrid as well as fully into AWS. Amazon Workspaces Core specifically really provides the ability to make use of the higher level of managed services with Amazon Workspaces, but keep that investment that you have and really the differentiators that our partners in this space can provide us, and still have that, but also those higher level of managed services that we provide.
Yeah, it's not necessarily just a virtualized desktop machine. There's management features that the other companies have that allow you to maybe manage thousands of these. So to be able to continue to use that, continue to use those licenses, those investments, it's just nice to have that option. Because a lot of times there are conversations that try to get stopped right there. Like, oh, no, we're already an X customer, so it's not going to work, and Workspaces doesn't allow us to utilize that. But now you can.
Yeah, and really, a lot of those customer stories, when that kind of conversation happens, it's because they found something that is truly a differentiator with the product that they're currently using.
Yeah.
And their businesses may run off of that.
Yeah.
It may seem like a very small thing, but some of these features and capabilities are critical for certain businesses.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Well, Andrew, when somebody wants to take that first step, right, with Workspaces Core, do you have anything that describes, what it looks like from an architectural perspective?
I was going to say, give us an example of how we were just talking about those customers that might say, "Oh, this isn't possible," but walk us through what Workspaces Core really allows you to do. Like, maybe give us an example.
Yeah, one of the big things I think, and kind of another one of these key differentiators is the hybrid story and that migration from on-prem into AWS. Really having this solution that partners can provide, where they can deploy onto AWS, they can deploy on-prem or wherever they really need to. And from an end user's perspective and from an admin perspective, there's really no difference. You don't have to retrain, you don't have to retool. One of the biggest issues I've heard from a lot of IT organizations is really training end users even.
Right.
That's a massive transformation for a business. If the button for one thing on someone's desktop has slightly moved, someone just gives up, right? I see that all the time with places, right? So minimizing that as much as possible. These solutions can do that by really kind of sitting, like in this diagram, like really sitting in between your on-prem and AWS, and really be able to provide that seamlessly from anywhere that you want that desktop to reside in.
Yeah, I mean, this is a completely new world for me personally. I've never managed desktop infrastructure anywhere. I've never been an IT pro, as I mentioned earlier.
Your career's not over yet. There's still
I
still
can teach you a whole bunch.
It's true.
Stick around with me. I can tell you a story.
Okay. All right. You all are pulling me into this world.
But
Interesting.
wouldn't you like it to if you had a VDI and you didn't really know or care where that VDI was? It sounds like Core is going to allow you to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was going to be my question. I'm very familiar with migrating more the application service side, right? Like migrating a database, migrating, like a monolith to microservices type thing. But I imagine there's unique challenges about migrating when it comes to VDI. And it sounds like Workspace's Core really helps with a lot of those challenges. But before we get into that, what are those challenges, Andrew? Like, what are people thinking through when they have to go through this migration?
Yeah, I mean, I think like yourself, right, there are people that are unicorns in their own kind of worlds, right? Like, you're very special for what you do in this world, right?
He's been saying that all day today.
I've been watching. I hear you.
God, I mean,
We all have our specialties, you know.
I love it.
I find so many times where there are cloud engineers, and then separately there's the whole desktop world.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's very, very much a unique situation where someone can come from the desktop world and be a AWS cloud world person. So one of the key tenets that we have with Amazon Workspace's Core is just simply making this simple. So, we have something like 600 different EC2 instance types. We have 200 different AWS services launched.
Yeah. Every time an EC2 instance comes out, like my back tattoo just gets bigger. I mean, I have all of them.
I got to see that at some point. That's got to be chaotic.
Yeah, it is. I'm running out of space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the key thing here is just making it simple, because there is such a small, frankly, workforce that does have the specialization, and if you are, then that's the unicorn in the market there, right? So making this simple so that anyone can really deploy this, and making this super simple for the AWS engineer background as well as a desktop as a service or end user computing engineer. Making sure that this is also API driven, so you can have all these integrations. I mean, that's one of the big thing with Amazon Workspace's Core is that we're allowing our managed services to be controlled by a third party. So that API driven piece, that logic, the business logic that even customers can inject into this. Kind of a good story around this too is like, if you want to do cost optimizations around this, say someone goes on paternity leave for a couple months, right? You don't want to have that desktop being there's costs associated with that, right?
Just sitting there.
Yeah, just sitting there. It's idle time stuff, right? So let's go ahead and have some business logic behind a ERP system or HR systems to shut that machine down or turn it into maybe an hourly mode instead of a monthly cost. Maybe you want to do a snapshot on that, back that machine up, and then just rebuild it later. Okay. Lots of different capabilities and options around that. Right?
And that's interesting because I think what you're talking about, the legacy VDI engineer normally wouldn't have to think about that because they have an on-prem stack of hosts that they've already paid for. And so it's neat to expand into thinking of new ways to optimize.
Yeah, spinning down is removing a rack, right? And that's a little bit more significant.
You need a forklift for that.
Yeah,
very different. Yeah, that's one of the key things here, right? Is being able to spin the resources down and not have to pay for what you're not using. And that goes with the optimizing spend kind of capability there, right? So no upfront costs with Amazon Workspace's Core, pay-as-you-go model, the fixed rate monthly price if that works for your business model there for your customers, as well as a kind of hibernate start-stop with a manual running mode that we have especially for Amazon Workspace's Core.
Cool. Yeah, was before Core came out, I had talked to some customers that were heavily invested in VMware Horizon, and they wanted to, with Horizon you have pools in different areas, and they were hoping that maybe they can have one of those pools be in workspaces.
Yeah.
And that ability to kind of, we talk about with EC2 and with workloads in general being elastic and bursting out. This is Workspace's Core is an option for you to kind of burst into the cloud with your VDI installations too. So beyond Horizon, what other vendors as Core kind of support or work well with?
Yeah, so we did launch with VMware Horizon 8 this past year. They've been awesome to work with. A lovely group of people. A lot of business being drummed up around that, and great opportunities. I could go on about that. Great stuff going on over the last year with them. And really, this last couple of sessions, we've talked about Amazon Workspace's core a good bit over the last couple of sessions. So I'm super excited about the energy that we're getting behind this.
Who did you pay for that to happen? Because it wasn't me, Andrew.
Oh, no, wasn't you?
No, it wasn't
okay.
me.
All
My
right.
Venmo is still sitting and waiting.
No, I think people are actually really excited about this.
They are.
That makes me even more excited about it.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, with the launch with VMware, WorkSpot has built great integrations with us. Specializing in things around failover between different regions. They have a great monitoring system that's associated with as well. LeoStream is also integrated with Amazon Workspace's core and has built in a lot of integrations. They're really known as the broker of brokers, the language that I've always heard for LeoStream. Really being able to do anything with so many different authentication protocols, so many different streaming protocols. They're a great company to be working with as well. And then today we get the news from Munir about the Citrix integrations here.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Can you tell me more about why it's so exciting, Andrew?
Yeah, Citrix. God, it's been 30-something years. I think Citrix has been around for.
Wow.
So they definitely have a foot in this market.
Yeah. A lot of customers asking for this. I would imagine.
Yeah.
One could argue the whole tissue Kleenex motif can be applied to Citrix in this scenario.
Yes,
Meaning
exactly.
people will often call tissues Kleenex
Yes.
after the brand name instead of referring them.
Yeah, so if you just say
tissues.
Citrix, you automatically know you're talking about VDI. So
There's
that's
definitely
very
an association
exciting.
there.
Yeah.
A little bit of background for me too.
Thank
I
you
worked
for
at
clarifying.
Yeah, just
Seriously,
I know there are people that maybe missed what you said there. We have a concept like that in Texas where every soda is a Coke. Everything's a Coke. At least Houston, where I grew up,
No
everything's
pop?
a Coke.
What's a pop?
I don't know. That's something foreign to me.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio.
I was going to say it has to be Ohio. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so a lot of people know Citrix
Yeah.
to start with, right? They definitely have a lot of capabilities around their protocol and features and enhancements, differentiators that Citrix has really made over I think it's like 30 years of their existence, right? So it is that Kleenex of the industry, right? Yeah, again, great to work with them. I've actually worked at Citrix off and on throughout the years, so awesome to be working with Citrix again and really providing a product service to mutually our customers. Add value on both sides. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah. Now spoilers too. So cover your ears if you don't want spoilers for the rest of the day. I believe we're going to hear from your buddy Gigi.
Yeah.
About WorkSpot specifically a little later on.
Yeah, she has an awesome demo to dive in a good bit deeper and really get to understand all the benefits of WorkSpot. So definitely tune into that.
So we're going to actually get to see one of these VDI solutions in action, right?
Yep,
Which is
exactly.
exciting
For
for me
migration.
because I have. I've never seen one in action.
We're going to get you over to this VDI
I
world
know.
one of these days.
I believe you. I believe you. I believe it.
Yeah.
So
already happening.
as a solutions architect, I'm talking to customers about a wide array of AWS services, and the topic always comes up: managed versus unmanaged.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us an overview how Workspace's core, the manageability of it versus, say, just regular workspaces or like an on-prem environment?
Yeah. So I mentioned a couple things in that kind of tenant slide earlier, but this slide really gives you a good idea of all of the differentiators that Amazon Workspaces has for our customers. So that pricing model, the pay-as-you-go, making it simple with desktop compute resource models that are meant for, this is infrastructure meant for the desktop world, right? Being able to onboard Windows 10, Windows 11 very seamlessly. We have a whole tool set to make that possible. Just capacity management, we help with that. We make sure that if you have multiple availabilities set up by default, and we're going to put one in this side and one on this side, and make sure that that is available, and we can scale that very easily for our customers. restore, rebuild capabilities. So if there's something that does go wrong with that customer's desktop, that end users, they can rebuild that, bring it back to a state that is kind of healthy, right?
Now, Andrew, I actually had a chat question from last session that I didn't get to ask. We ran out of time, but I think this may make sense a little bit in this portion, right? So fully managed, right? It kind of opens up the door for IT pros to have time back to more work on more impactful things than just necessarily managing the VDI infrastructure. So SetSpike from Twitch chat asked earlier, being able to measure employee experience and give IT professionals data to make actionable changes is important. How is the AWS End User Computing services addressing this? I think maybe this could be one of those ways, right? Giving you back time. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, these are the, as we say it, undifferentiated heavy lifting kind of items, right? Where, it can take an entire resource to do cost optimization. It can take an entire resource to figure out what is the best compute type. We have this kind of concept of built-in tech refresh with Amazon Workspaces. Just to make sure that you have all the research and understanding and like what is that life cycle of those desktop computes, that could be an entire resource there too. So absolutely.
As a former VMware professional, the term right sizing is both like something scary and a blessing at the same time because you can right size to your heart's content and really almost maybe never get it right.
Yeah.
Or you can err on the side of, well, I'd rather that instance be a little bit bigger just in case. And so there's a fine line there. So I can see both sides of that.
And especially with the third-party VDI vendors that we're working with have tools and monitoring capabilities to really help understand what that is so you can change that as you go along.
Well, you guys both have partner experience, correct?
I'm in the partner network currently,
And so what's interesting about what your slide you just had on, you said EC2 build your own. You know, we always often say you can install anything on EC2 and get it to run. So you can do VDI with EC2, but that's where the managed workspaces and then Workspaces Core comes in. But let's take that a step further. You can have a partner help you out with that, which would make things even easier. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So this is a great slide on that topic. So these are, somewhat in a generic term. Each one of the partners are going to have their own differentiator in this space, right? But like I was just talking about, like in-protocol monitoring or monitoring capabilities in general with the service, being able to get information from the instance inside the instance itself and be able to feed that to an administrator and make actions.
And that sounds like kind of what that question you just asked.
Like
maybe can we alert on high latency on certain examples, and maybe spin up a new instance in a different availability zone, maybe if we're getting a bunch of those alarms, something like that.
That's one of the key things of why we're API driven is to be able to sense and response is kind of the language that I like using for that. Right, we sense it from the monitoring tools, respond to it by whatever the fixes for that, right?
Yeah. It sounds like the equivalent of like the DevOps movement for us developers over here, automating a lot of these things based off of metrics and ops that, we traditionally would have had to manually go in and look at, right? And investigate. That's cool. That's really cool. We got a really interesting use case from longtime viewer Robert Tables. Robert Tables is on maybe every stream. I don't know. I think they're here every day. So welcome to the stream, Robert. Workspaces are great for consultants too. You don't take the risk of polluting your local machine with other clients' data. So having a workspace per client, it sounds like maybe Robert has got that set up. It's kind of interesting use case too.
It's a great way to isolate environments. I mean, you can have it as isolated or integrated to an environment as you really want. With Amazon Workspaces and with Core, there's a separate Elastic Network interface that goes into a customer's VPC. You can configure that pretty much whatever way you want it to. If it's into an environment with a backend services, if it's completely isolated, to different customer environments, you can deploy this really very flexibly.
Yeah, and I think that also plays to the whole cattle versus pets methodology, whereas before we've had our machine, our desktop that's personalized, and we don't want to get rid of it. And if it goes away, if it breaks, we get sad, sort of like a pet. But with cattle, you don't name your cattle. And if we can think of having our workspaces as cattle, and if we're done with it, throw it away for the day and get a new one, there's some advantages there. So. You're laughing. You've never heard that before?
It's my least favorite analogy.
You've heard it before, though, right?
I'm a vegetarian, and I would name my cattle.
Fair.
Because I wouldn't eat them.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
Thanks.
Yes.
To the point, though, that yes, this is one of those, especially with our pay-as-you-go model, right? You can delete something, throw it away, and get something brand new again. You don't have to worry about treating something as sacred in that kind of way.
Sure.
Right?
So let's talk about pricing. How is pricing relative to non-core or the other AWS VDI services?
Yeah, with Amazon Workspaces Core compared to Workspaces, we're taking things down a little notch, right? So that those pieces can be managed by our third-party vendors, right? So from a streaming protocol perspective, authentication gateway protocol perspective, the actual protocol itself, those things are being managed by the third-party VDI vendor. So because we're not doing as much, we can provide a little bit of a discount, right? So around 20%, as you can see here, and with the two different pricing examples here, it's a good chunk of change there that actually can provide you a little bit of a cost savings. With licensing and with your third-party VDI vendors, there is a separate cost for those vendors, and with this discount, mileage may vary, but that's going to give you somewhere around the cost of that additional license, and really those differentiators that partner's providing.
All right, so Andrew, we talked early on about a migration, right? And I know we'll probably get more into it in other segments as well. But from your experience, what are the areas that I should be focused on when I'm responsible for one of these migrations? So as you say, you're going to pull me into this world.
Well,
and now you're going to give me a migration.
Yeah.
And
what do I have to care about?
First big project, right?
Well, let's
migrate.
Baseline that with a migration from what to what. So maybe a legacy on-prem VDI solution to maybe some workspaces, or maybe all workspaces.
Yeah.
So let's talk through that.
Yeah, so really the first step of migration, especially in the VDI world, is really kind of taking things apart and really understanding where the migration pieces need to fit, right? So we've really been talking about the front end, and really the third-party VDI vendors, that diagram I showed earlier, right, of being able to direct users to wherever their desktop resources are. And I really kind of call that the front end piece. So great situation there with these vendors of being able to direct those resources completely seamlessly, no changing of clients, no retraining of how the application works. Admins are very familiar with the interfaces. As kind of a goal with Amazon Workspaces Core is to really not use our console, but use the third-party VDI vendors, right? So that's the front end, right? Let's jump over to kind of the back end piece of the actual desktop itself, and migrating the desktop.
So the front end, the goal would be to have less impact on your end users, and maybe just have Workspaces Core be an addition to one of these third-party environments.
Providing the infrastructure, providing the actual compute and this component to it, the desktop optimized infrastructure that Amazon Workspaces Core is providing that piece to it, and the front end of the client, the protocol, the brokering of users, that's really where our partners come into play.
Sure. Okay, so the back end.
Yeah, so the back end, there's kind of a different philosophy between migrating a desktop, and it really depends on the size of your business and the kind of risk associated with it, right? So when you may be just a couple of users, maybe your own personal laptop, right? Think of it like that. You may have just everything installed on one volume or one disk, right? Your operating system, your applications, your profile, maybe that fluffy kitten on the background of your screen or whatever it may be, right? Maybe some of that user data as well. Migrating that, typically somewhere around 70 gigs for someone's personal laptop, maybe on average, maybe. Migrating that for 10,000 users
it's huge.
Is like a physics problem, right? That turns into like so much of an issue. So being able to take these components apart and really only update the parts where you need to during a change. So maybe you've done a major update to the operating system, maybe an upgrade to the applications, but keeping the user profile and user data information synchronized as often as possible. This kind of approach definitely helps with doing that migration. You're only moving the user data, you're only changing the user profile for an active migration. One of our partners, VMware, right, released some good information around at their Explore event with the Apps Everywhere app volumes. So beta coming soon for persistent virtual desktops, and also an integration with Amazon AppStream 2.0. With that integration, being able to use this app volumes, that app layer, and install once to many, many, many desktops as you want, right?
Yeah.
Having with AppStream 2.0 a single fleet that provides all these applications, but with our dynamic application framework, being able to kind of entitle that to whatever user groups is necessary.
Well, unfortunately,
Yep.
we are out of time, Andrew. But we're going to hear more about this from Gigi coming up soon as well. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's been great.
Jeff, we're going to be back in just a few minutes, so you stick around for more content here.